Hello, Canada. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. So we got a few clips we're going to go over here today. We got some pretty hilarious stuff. We're going to start off with Franco Terrazino. He's with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. If you don't know who these people are, it's definitely worth you looking into. They're out looking after our dollar. They're an amazing organization. And now Franco, I absolutely like this guy. Is not only is he hilarious, he's really straightforward, put stuff in layman's terms, and he's always breaking how, especially with this liberal Trudeau government, how they blow through your tax dollars with no remorse, no care, because they're all better than us. They're privileged, and we should treat them like kings and queens. Then we're going to move on to a little bit about Trudeau kind of getting asked some pretty solid questions for once. And then we're going to kind of collage right over into Mark Carney being destroyed because facts are starting to really come out, especially about what he's doing in third world countries, which I blew the lid off here in a previous episode. And now it seems like it's really starting to take off. People are starting to be aware and digging to see how corrupt and evil this guy really is. And then we're going to get to Keir Starmer. His visit to Washington is getting huge attention. He is being destroyed on social media for his hypocrisy and blatant lies and two-faced. It's astonishing, and it's not just the UK that is like they're what they're posting and saying, especially bringing the truth forward about how he's putting old ladies in jail, but the world, because the world has been watching what Keir Starmer has done. This guy is so far left, he is over the cliff on the other side, drowning the UK. So let's just get started with Franco, my hero, buddy Franco. Let's see how the Liberal government is blowing our money this time.
Breaking news, Trudeau billed you $81,000 in 1 year for his groceries. Yup, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation got our hands on internal government documents showing how much Trudeau is billing you, the taxpayers, for his household food. So in 1 year, Trudeau billed taxpayers $81,000 for groceries. The year before that, Trudeau billed taxpayers $76,000 for groceries. So just think about that. Every year, you are on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars to cover the Prime Minister's household food expenses. Now, it is so outrageous that the Prime Minister is spending more on food and sending you the bill than what the average Canadian worker makes in an entire year. Now, here's a crazy idea. How about the Prime Minister just pays for his own groceries like everyone else?
Considering the guy makes just less than $500,000 a year, I think he could afford to buy his own groceries. I think that's fair. And where do you get off spending $80,000 a year? What is he buying? He's probably buying stuff that, is really, really healthy, stuff that Canadians can't afford, especially now because of what they've done to our country. And people can't afford to buy oranges. Scurvy, what was unheard of for over 100 years. We're having outbreaks because people can't afford oranges. But don't worry, the media is suppressing this. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, it's because of the tariffs. It's because of the tariffs. That's why people we're not importing anything from Florida. They're going to find some way to twist and lie about this. This scurvy has started a year and a half ago and has been getting worse and worse and worse. So, wow, insane. Let's move on to Trudeau getting destroyed, and I'm going to put a little bit of a collage together to kind of expose the Liberal Party and Mark Carney with it.
On the Liberal leadership debate, Mr. Carney had said that the economy was weak before the tariffs, pointing to a surge in immigration
Do you see the smirk on his face?
and high spending over the last 5 years. He was an advisor to you in that period. Did he advise against either of those things?
As you know, we have outstanding people stepping up to lead the Liberal Party and continue the important work that we've been doing, but also meet the new challenges that the world keeps throwing at Canada with alarming regularity these days.
Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that we're getting attacked from every side? Maybe because he has decimated our image on the global stage. Maybe because he's destroyed the entire economy of Canada. Maybe it's because of all of the scandals that the world is aware of, but most Canadians aren't because the legacy media doesn't talk about it. Canada's broken, people. It's beyond broken. We are in a serious spiral down. We need to clean this country up. So what about that Liberal Party?
Now, it's interesting. You have all this polling that have the Liberals up, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's breathing new life into the party," and all the rest of that stuff. Yet, all of their front bench MPs are jumping off of the ship like in unprecedented numbers. How many of them are not going to run again, even with a fresh leader?
Yeah, well, I've got a list here. I think it's 36 as of today have announced that they won't be seeking re-election. Some big names like Omar Alghabra, Anita Anand, Pam Damoff, Sean Fraser, Marco Mendicino, Mary Ng, Jennifer O'Connell, Seamus O'Regan, Harjit Sajjan. Like, these are big names. Arif Virani. So if the polling is going in favor of the Liberals and they're making some kind of comeback, why is everyone jumping ship? So that's a question Canadians really need to ask themselves.
Now, as far as I know, I think the only person out of that has reneged is Anita Anand. I haven't confirmed it yet. It was just an article that I read, but I didn't even bother fact checking it because nobody really cares. Anita Anand's got a filthy mouth. She's a horrible MP, and she's one of the worst of the insider WEF people. So I hope she just gets decimated. Well, personally, I hope the whole party, it needs to get decimated. We need to clean house, and then we need to call, after we clean the RCMP up, because we know that they're corrupt at the top level. Once we clean that up, we need to open everything up. We need real transparency and start arresting these people. Enough with the, it's been done. We don't want to embarrass ourselves on the world stage and expose, Canadians and, bullcrap. There's nothing left for Canadian ethical glory anywhere in the world. They despise us. This party has embarrassed us. We need to expose these people, charge these people, jail these people, so that we can start to gain some of the respect that we had 10 years ago. Moving on. A little bit more of that same conference or press that Trudeau was at. Take a listen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister. Matt Grillo with CTV News. I'm wondering what you make of the fact that following your announcement of your resignation, the Liberal Party started to do much better and is doing much better in the polls. What do you make of that? What lessons have you learned?
I have consistently said for many years now that as we approach an election, as Canadians actually reflect on the choice being offered to them between a party that has governed this country responsibly, created a strong economy that has the best balance sheet of the G7.
Everything he said is a lie. Everything he said is a lie.
Lifted hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty.
We are now 25% of Canadians are living in poverty, one of the highest levels ever seen before since the Great Depression.
Created jobs, protected the environment, stepped up on fighting climate change in partnership with Indigenous peoples.
Hey, that's about enough. Everything he's saying is a lie. Every single thing that comes out of this man's mouth is a lie. And that goes for everybody in the Liberal Party. And the mainstream doesn't correct them. They allow them to put out this crap, hoping that you will just believe it. And like liberals love to say, if you repeat the same thing over and over, people begin to believe it. That is the socialist fascist strategy. That's how propaganda works. So, new leaders, strong leaders who are going to be work in conjunction and in partnership with the Aboriginals and You want to see what Carney does to the Aboriginals? Do you really want to see how trustworthy this guy is? This is a new report that came out about a week ago here from Brian Lilly. Now, I've been doing a little bit of research. I don't know if you saw, I actually blew the lid off of this with the carbon credit scam that they run on how they destroy third world countries to put dams into places that they don't need there, that flood heritage grounds where these indigenous people live without even consulting them. All so they can write on their books, look, we've got another dam, carbon credits, now we can sell more coal. In the meantime, shut down Canadians' businesses. This is happening all over the world. It is a takeover. Lilly, Peruvian mayor issues warning about Carney making PM. The mayor of Lima, Peru has a message to Canadians. Think twice before making Mark Carney your prime minister. Mayor Lopez Alegria says based on Carney's actions when he was a chairman of the Brookfield Asset Management, there should be a serious questions asked about Carney's character. In an interview from Lima, Alegria said Brookfield, chaired by Carney, was making massive profits off a toxic contract plagued by bribes. Canadians need to know the way Brookfield under Mark Carney operates here. They need to know how they obtain money from the suffering of poor people, Alegria said. So they're currently suing them. They're charging a third of what a person makes in a month for them to use the road. It is absolutely insane. They are bankrupting these people. This is how this is what these businesses do. It's absolutely atrocious. Moving on. Ruby Dalla. They pushed this. This is a real liberal. This is where liberals were before the takeover from the WEF. This is the Liberal Party that I knew all of my life until about 11 years ago, 12 years ago, when literally the entire party was taken over by the WEF. She's still waiting for them to prove that she did something wrong. In the meantime, people are exposing how there's people who have paid twice to Chrysler Freeland more money than they're allowed to pay. And then you're looking at Mark Carney. He's got people that are on the Green Slush Fund scandal that actually shut Parliament down in October because of all the hundreds of millions, possibly billions of dollars that have been doled out to fake Green Fund initiatives to Carney. And these same people are the ones that are paying to get Carney elected. The corruption has no end. Listen to a little bit of Dahlia. Okay, so by the way, this was a podcast that was put out the same night that the Liberals were having their English debate. She garnered more viewers live than any of the other media channels that were running the debates live. And not only that, I think this thing's been seen over 1 million times. And her followers are 3.6, 3.9 million people. This is what the Liberal Party needed, but refuses and will do anything to not have in the party because they need to control it. They need to push the initiative that makes all of the WEF rich and will destroy and impoverish our nation. Here's just a few words of what she had said on that podcast.
That the Liberal Party of Canada, the establishment and all of their egos did not want Ruby Dalla on that debate stage. They wanted to keep Ruby Dalla off of the ballot, and they wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. I believe by disqualifying me, that was their road to paving the way for their blue-eyed boy, for Mark Carney, to become the leader of the Liberal Party and Canada's next Prime Minister. For the party to humiliate me by announcing the decision while I was live on air with CBC Power and Politics, which, by the way, is a government-funded entity, to disqualify me on air I think was not only humiliating to me, but it was a humiliation and an attack on democracy for the millions of people in Canada that believe in free speech, that believe in fairness, and that believe in justice.
So she goes on in this to say, like, they haven't got back to me. They refuse to, like, discuss it with me, show me any evidence. And they did it all so close to the debates to silence her. So even if in the end they say, oh, okay, we're going to bring you back in, she's lost out on the fact of being able to debate against these left lunatics. Now, I don't know if any of you watched the debate. Probably not, because it was horrible. It was a love fest. It was all of them kissing each other's butts. They didn't discuss anything that dealt with where Canada is today, because they're the ones who destroyed us. They needed Dalla on there to point out the hypocrisy, and that's what they didn't want. Control. And the media helped them. And she's pointing that out. So, Ruby, go get them. I'll be following her and keeping everybody posted as things progress. Now, BC elections. John Rudstad dropping some more truth bombs.
So what we now have found with Surrey Guildford is we now actually have a new affidavit that has come forward from the Green Party candidate in that riding, who, particularly on the Argyle Lodge, has said this candidate went to the lodge, talked to the people running there, wanted to get in and talk to the residents, wanted to leave information about the party. And the response was that the residents were elderly and incapable of voting. And so they turned away the candidate from being able to go in and talk to those residents. We now know from the other affidavits that those members in that lodge voted, that they all voted by mail. The lodge, the person who's running that, said Elections BC has been giving them the ballots by bulk every election. Elections BC says, no, we don't do that. There are serious irregularities that have happened during this election. And most importantly, when we look at this, and we've been talking with people in other lodges, we've been finding other information, we're looking hopefully to be able to bring that forward in terms of affidavits as well. It makes me very, very angry to think that our vulnerable citizens, our seniors, potentially have been taken advantage of in terms of how the election process has worked in the province of British Columbia.
So hopefully they get on this. Eby did all of these promises. He was getting his butt kicked, which they deserve to. They deserve to be run off and a full audit done on that party. But all the promises of, oh, I'm going to hand out checks and we're going to do this. And he's already gone back on all of that. And what he has done is he's given everybody in the in Parliament a raise. And we're not talking a small raise. We're talking like $40,000 to $60,000 raises. So way to go, BC. Way to go, all of you NDP Liberal supporters, and keeping such a corrupt, manipulative government in power. You're just going to keep paying for it. Sucks to be you. Moving on. Keir Starmer and the hilarious trip to Washington.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is currently in the midst of a very awkward first visit to the White House since the Trump administration took over. The first awkward clash was between Starmer and JD Vance, who promptly called him out for attempting to kill off free speech in the UK.
Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
English commentators like Dan Wooten applauded Vance for his courage, saying Keir Starmer just lied to the world's media in front of Donald Trump and JD Vance. Grandmas are in jail for Facebook posts. And outspoken English commentator Katie Hopkins agreed, saying, "Dear Donald Trump, when you do the handshake with the pathetic Keir Starmer, can you snap his wrist? Might stop him from being a wanker for a few days."
He's getting destroyed on social media. I mean, destroyed. And not only his country, but around the world. Like, destroyed. And it's good to see, because this guy is a full-fledged fascist. He has gone so far left, he has pushed the UK over the other side, and they are drowning in censorship. We're going to move on a little bit further down into this same news report.
Also had some choice words for the media, which Trump had to interject and shut down.
You mentioned Canada. I think you're trying to find a divide between us that doesn't exist. We're the closest of nations, and we had very good discussions today, but we didn't
discuss
enough. Canada.
Thank you. Please.
And English comment.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They shut him right down. You're not interfering with what's going on in all of my other tariff talks and conversations to strike deals around the world. Starmer's trying everything to try and save his reputation, but it ain't going to help him. He's going down, and it's too bad the UK is going down with him. We know that he won in the least amount of votes, I believe it was in UK history, for a party. He didn't really win. He slipped into it because people were so disgusted in their government. Nobody wanted to vote. So a little wee bit further on, it gets even better.
Commentator said, "Is it just me, but Keir Starmer's creeping and grovelling is making me feel nauseous and sick. Has there ever been a more two-faced man than Starmer, really? Surprised the Donald is falling for it. Starmer's stroking of Trump's ego has been labelled as hypocritical, as the Prime Minister has been less than kind about him in the past."
Don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around. I'm anti-Trump.
Trump and Starmer's meetings resembled that of frenemies.
And don't forget, that's what got us into the trouble we're in right now as well. Yes, our economic policy. Yes, our ties to the WEF. Yes, the fact that, we have literally socialized our country to the point where we are right now. And the censorship, which is the major fight that this administration is trying to wake the world up to. You cannot have a democracy without freedom of speech and freedom of information. It won't exist. But our leader did the same thing. So, you know why we're here? It ain't Trump's fault. It's our own fault.
With many supportive words shared between them, as well as splatters of backhanded compliments in a bizarre power play between the two leaders.
If they need help, I'll always be with the British, okay? I'll always be with them. But they don't need help. You look at their career, you have done very well over the years, haven't you?
We have. I'm very proud of our country. And but we've also always
been... try to grab Trump's hand and Trump pulls his hand away. Trump has no respect for this guy. Same with Trudeau. None. And he's trying to be nice. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to maintain that politician niceness, but he's Trump. The reality is these leaders are driving us into a socialist world. I love Trump's comment here.
They're backing each other up between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we've absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the
Could you take on Russia by yourselves?
Well,
all right, one or two more.
And finally, Trump...
Oh my God, it is too funny. That is just too funny. We're going to end this off on a little wee bit of... Oh, sorry. It's just too funny. What the world doesn't know and should know about who Zelenskyy is. This is just a small video of... just one little video of Zelenskyy, that now that Trump's in power and we're starting to release a lot of what's being hidden from the reality of Ukraine, this is a good eye-opener.
Вечно мело, чьи-то взгляды прячем свои лица. Ты один, аллиготер, через свою большую ПОПу. Подними меня разок, не развяжется твой ПУПок. Не ходи, ты в избирком, там тебя поставят РАКом.
Yeah. And you wonder why the US picked him to put him in power. Yeah. Well, you guys, there you have it. That is this morning's episode. Sorry I am running late today, trying to get caught up on a lot of different things that have been going on. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I'm Alias to Guy, and you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal.